Hello and welcome to Tina's Traditional Tours. My name's Tina Jesson, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some tips that I've come up with when you travel to the UK, whether you're coming with me on one of my tours or if you're just visiting England anyway. So I'm just going to go through a list of useful information about how to travel to the UK, especially if it's the first time you've come to the UK, and especially if you're traveling from America, which is a group of people that I will bring over every year to come and visit some amazing places, some of my favorite places. So one of the first questions I often get asked is, what on earth should I pack? And that's really referring to things like weather conditions and dress code. So in England, the dress code is usually kind of smart and casual. And remember that less is more when you're packing. So don't go and overpack. Also, it costs so much more to bring your luggage over, depending on what kind of flight ticket that you have. So I would recommend that you pack fairly lightly and make a few smart choices on what you are going to bring with you. Now, keep in mind that the weather in the UK can be very day to day. It varies quite a lot. Like today, we have rain and it's quite dark and gloomy, and I'm recording this in April. Now, the tour that we tend to do is in September, where the weather is a lot better, but we are still going to get a rainy day. So make sure that you do bring some sensible layers. Often you will need a jacket or a coat in the evenings, even if it's been a sunny day, because it does get a lot cooler once the sun goes down. And wear sensible layers, then you can put them on and take them off as you need to. And some of the essentials that we do suggest you bring with you. Now, you are going to be doing a lot of walking. We do walk a lot more in the UK than we do, say, in America. So some good, comfortable walking shoes, sneakers, or some kind of water-resistant hiking boots may come in useful. Just depends if that's your thing, if you do actually want to go hiking across fields. Wind and waterproof style jackets can be really helpful. It can sometimes be quite blowy and chilly in the air, and if it's raining, obviously having something waterproof can help. So wind or waterproof or water-resistant jackets will be useful, and maybe a hat or a cap, especially for the gents. If you've not got much on top, you might need a little bit just to keep the ears warm. Personal medications and your prescription glasses, obviously, that's something you would probably take no matter where you were traveling. A calculator or currency converter might be helpful. Obviously, you've got that on your phone these days. Obviously, use those apps because that might be useful, just so that you know what you're spending as you go for those essentials and all those gifts that you're going to take home. Obviously, use either a camera or a smartphone. Make sure you bring your charger and plugs and converters. We do have a 3-pin system here in the UK, 240 volts. So you do need to make sure that you've got the right adapters for recharging things like your phone. Obviously, a passport, and then some means of payment. If you're coming on one of my tours, everything is inclusive, but obviously if you want to get an extra drink or you want to buy gifts or just spend some of your own money, then you need to consider how you're going to do that. Now, do be careful. Some credit cards, you can use those overseas, but some credit cards do charge a percentage of each spend over and above. So check to see if you actually get charged for overseas transactions. If there's no charge, that's the kind of credit card that you need. And it might even be worth getting a special credit card just for this trip. And things like your debit card will work in ATMs and hole-in-the-wall cash points, as we call them. And make sure that you have a copy of the picture page of your passport, just in case you lose it. If you're traveling with me, I always make sure that I have a separate copy that's separate from your passport. Because what you don't want to happen is your bag get swiped or you drop your purse and you lose your passport and then you don't have a backup, I always make sure that I have a separate backup there for you. Makes it much easier when we have to replace passports. Never happened yet, but it's always a good practice to have. Now, while we're talking about passports, all travellers even, regardless of nationality, must carry a passport valid for at least 6 months after your intended return home. So you've got to have 6 months life on that passport. You won't be able to travel without it. 2 pages must be available for the entry stamps. You must have 2 pages left in there for stamps if you are well travelled. And if you hold a passport with an expiration date of less than 6 months after your return date, you must renew your passport prior to departure. And if you're not a USA citizen, or your embassy can answer questions, and you can find that out on the website embassyworld.com. If you are extending your trip to another country, you should check with the consulate of that country that you don't need any extra visas, because you might need to have extra visas for traveling. So just look into that if that applies. So we're on our way. Let's look at airport check-in. Now, strict security measures do happen, obviously, at airports, and that can impact on travel plans and cause delays. Which is why it's important to allow plenty of time to get to the airport. Now, when you're traveling internally in the US, you only need to be there an hour, maybe 2 hours ahead of time. When you're traveling internationally, especially if this is the first time you've traveled internationally, you need to allow at least 3 hours for the airport. I'd much rather you be hours and hours early than 5 minutes late and miss your plane. So take a note of what the check-in policies are, what the carry-on restrictions are, and what the airport security rules are going to be. It just helps you prepare. And go to tsa.gov in the States to check out those things when you are traveling. Now let's talk about carry-on luggage. You are usually permitted to carry 1 item of hand luggage in addition to 1 small personal item on board the aircraft. Your personal item is going to be a small handbag or maybe a laptop case if you're bringing that with you. And it needs to fit comfortably under the seat in front of you. Passengers with more than 1 carry-on plus personal item will need to check additional luggage. Now you need to make sure that the ticket you purchase enables you to bring additional luggage, which will be restricted. So if you travel economy, premium economy, then you'll get extra baggage if you do want to bring extra with you. Like I say, I would travel light. I travel a lot and I find traveling light is best, but obviously you have that option. Some airports are stopping you having to take your shoes off. Some make you take your shoes off. Some are getting rid of the restriction on carrying liquids. Some are not. I would be prepared for strict, and if you get away with a little bit less, then it makes life a little bit easier. But be prepared for all the checks and all the security precautions that we've been used to over the years. Now, as far as your checked luggage is concerned, you usually get 1 piece of luggage, which is about £50 per person at no additional charge. But you will be charged extra for additional bags. So just be aware of that. Now, as far as any lost luggage is concerned, in the event that your bags do go astray, you want to go to the baggage claim and report that before you leave the airport. So we have now got to the UK. What can we expect? Well, for one of the things, the time zone is going to be different. Normally, we're about 5 hours ahead of the US on Eastern Daylight Time. And you have to kind of figure it out from there. Now, in September, England will be 5 hours ahead of Eastern Daylight Time. That means if it's 5 p.m. on September the 20th in the UK, it's going to be noon in New York or Indianapolis or anything on the East Coast. And then you have to factor that backwards if you're further west. As far as communications are concerned, private mobile phones you'll be able to use in the UK. At the location that we are staying at, and you'll find this at most hotels, there will be some form of Wi-Fi that you can connect to, normally free, and you can make calls via your mobile phone through the Wi-Fi in that location. Certainly in the farmhouses that we stay at, Wi-Fi is available. When you're traveling around the UK, there are going to be areas where your signal is not going to be a strong one. So we suggest that you use something like Facebook messaging and WhatsApp to communicate with friends and family, and utilize the free Wi-Fi at the places that we stay at. If family and friends need to contact you, they can reach you by calling your mobile number in the normal way, but they will incur international charges, which can be excessive. So do keep those calls fairly short. Internet, yes, you'll be able to get onto the internet. Wi-Fi will be available in the farmhouse and in some public areas that we travel to, where you can connect your mobile phones. But be aware that reception might be limited in some places. England does have a bit of a reputation for having lots of rain. So plan for rain, and if we are lucky enough not to get any, it's a bonus. That's how we need to look at it. So in September in England, when we take the tour with Tina's Traditional Tours, we usually go in September, and it's usually pleasant, but it can be variable. Now, as far as temperatures are concerned, in September, we can often get something we call the Indian summer, but showers are always going to be possible. And average daily temperatures in Fahrenheit, for those of you in the States, is going to be somewhere between 55 and 75 degrees. But it can drop to as low as 45 degrees in the evenings. So do make sure that you are packing a sweater and a jacket at least. Now, I've already mentioned a little bit on electricals and electronics. We do have 220 volts, where North America operates at 110 to 120 volts. And so that is very different. You won't be able to plug things in here if you have, say, a hairdryer or curling tongs or straighteners or anything like that, ladies, or gents. Electrical appliances in the UK have a 3-pin plug. An adapter is going to be required. So if you are going to be thinking of bringing like straighteners or curlers, you probably won't be able to use them because it will actually blow. So have a think about what you bring there. Don't bring it and then use it. You probably won't be able to use those in the UK. Electronics should be checked, and your phone charger, and if you have an electric toothbrush or travel irons, hair curlers, shavers, hair dryers. You will have access to hair dryers in the at the farmhouse if you're traveling with us. Most hotels will have hair dryers available. So don't bring that kind of thing with you because it's going to obviously be more luggage to bring in. But if you do, make sure that these devices are dual voltage and they operate at both 110 or 220. There should be a label on the appliance to that effect. Okay, so we've got you into the UK and all your electronics are working fine and you're charging your phone. So let's talk about food, one of my favourite topics. Food in the UK is varied, natural, and absolutely delicious. Now, there are many vegan and gluten-free options available, and food allergies are taken very seriously here. So if you do have any allergies, let me know if you're traveling with me, and I can let the food providers that we're going to be using on the journey. We'll be able to let them know ahead of time. If you're traveling independently, just make sure you mention any allergies, and they're probably going to be able to accommodate you. I know it's amazing out here, it really is. Additionally, things like local baked goods and pastries, cheese, lamb. Oh, lamb here is amazing. Please try it if you get a chance. British Indian curry, fish and meat pies, fish and chips. Yes, we do burgers. I don't think we do them as well as America, just an FYI. And then special diets like vegetarian can be accommodated. If we have a little bit of notice, we can do that ahead of time for you. Water safety and drinks. Tap water is completely safe in the UK. You may want to take bottled water out with you, especially if you go walking. We do like you to use reusable water containers just to limit the amount of throwaway. We don't do a lot of disposable items here in the UK. It's more recyclable. So if you do buy a bottle of water, it's probably going to be a glass one. Because that's easier to recycle than just throwing away plastic that can't be reused. In the towns, there are many cafes who serve tea and coffee. If you ask for tea, it's going to be hot tea. It's going to be tea, hot tea served with milk. That is what tea is in the UK. Don't expect iced tea. Iced tea is very unlikely to be found here. When ordering tea, like I say, it will be that English breakfast tea, unless you specify otherwise. Okay, so for your protection, neither the airlines nor the farmhouse will take any responsibility for lost or stolen valuables. We suggest that you don't bring any, because that's easy. Then you're keeping them safe at home. Don't bring expensive jewellery. If you feel like you need to pack, then make sure they're in your carry-on luggage. I don't know if you can hear this, but the trash recycling people are just outside the window. So as I was mentioning, we do a lot of recycling here in the UK. So like I say, don't bring valuables with you if you don't need to. Don't bring cash with you. You don't need to. You can use your credit card. You can use your debit card. But do carry a copy of your picture page of your passport just in case you lose it. And if you're travelling on the London Underground, especially on the London Underground, keep your valuables very close to you and don't keep wallets in your back pocket. Keep them in the front or pocket or in a zipped pack of some sort. Don't put things in your back pockets. Make sure you keep your valuables close to you. The Underground, unfortunately, is notorious for pickpockets. Language? Well, in England, we're already using English, but it's British English rather than American English, which is subtly different and part of its charm. You may not get exactly what you think you're going to get, but then I'm here to be your guide on the day if necessary, if you're traveling with me. Shopping in England. England has a variety of shops to choose from. Most do take credit cards. In the UK, we have chip and pin. So if you don't know what your PIN number is, you're going to have to sign. That might throw them off a little bit, but I don't know. I think people are getting used to having cards that you need to sign for. At one point, it was quite a novelty. Make sure you inform your credit card company that you are visiting the UK and what date you're going to be away, just in case they think that the card's been stolen and it's being used inappropriately. You can take money out of ATMs, which we call cash points. I would suggest you do that on your debit card rather than on your credit card, just because it's going to save you those extra fees. And cash can be withdrawn as you need. But again, we do a lot of contactless Apple Pay. You don't even need cash. So I would suggest not really carrying it. Shops are restricted in their opening hours, though. Normally, they're from 9 till 5. You don't normally get them open any later than that. Some shops are closed on a Monday and Tuesday, some shops are closed on a Wednesday in the smaller towns, and some don't open on a Sunday. If you come with Tina's Traditional Tours, we do arrange our tours so that you can get the best shopping done at the best time. Public houses, some pubs do close in the afternoon between the lunch and dinner period. Something to look out for if you're travelling independently in the countryside, just an FYI. Money, we use the Great British Pound, or just the pound, divided into 100 pennies. And then the coinage is 1 pennies, 2 pennies, 5 pennies, 10 pennies, 20 pennies, and a 50 pence piece. And we also have a pound coin. And then 5, 10, 20, 50, and 100 pound notes. A little bit different to perhaps what you're used to if you're coming from the US. Currency exchange, you can do it at the airport. Traveller's checks, probably completely out of date nowadays. But I say you can do most of what you need to with the cards that you have. Debit cards, credit cards, and then you've got access through ATMs. Tipping. Now, tipping in the UK is very different to the US. We don't tend to tip in the same way, because in the US, you are basically adding that tip to make up a wage. In the UK, we have a set wage. So tipping is only really done if you have an exceptional service, and 10% is the norm. Gratuities for all of our group tours, excuse me, for all of our group tours is included in the package price. So you don't have to worry about tipping if you're traveling with Tina's Traditional. And as far as travel insurance goes, yes, please do get your travel insurance. Anything from cancelled flights to serious illness, or in rare cases, well, we all know what's been happening over the last few years. It's worth having it. If you are traveling with Tina's Traditional, we do include travel insurance, and all those details will be sent to you prior to your trip. Once I know your age and location, I think those are the two things I need mainly. So yeah, make sure you have your travel insurance booked in. Don't travel without it. If you have any more questions, please reach out to me. If you are interested in joining me for one of my Tina's Traditional tours, we tend to go out in September. Go to tinastraditionaltours.com. That will put you onto our wait list, and we may have a few spaces open, just depending on what time of the year you reach out to us. We tend to do our tours maximum of 12 people. We stay in a beautiful farmhouse in the Derbyshire Dales. It's a part of England you wouldn't normally come to. I have no idea why, but so many people stay in London and in the south and go to Stonehenge and Bath. We don't do that. We get you into the London, we get you out of London as quickly as possible, we get you into the countryside, we get you into a beautiful farmhouse in a beautiful part of the country, and I get to take you to all my favourite places, which is kind of off the beaten track, and you get to live a little bit like a local. Oh, and by the way, I cook you breakfast every morning too. So I'll see you hopefully on one of my tours, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Have any questions, just let me know. See you soon. Bye now.